The official 2024 Artificer is here. It is out now, and we're going to be talking about it, whether or not I think it's good or not, in this video. So if you like D&D and other nerd culture content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below to help me with the algorithm and get more of me in yours. Now let's talk about that 2024 Artificer, or Artificer if you're one of those people. So let's start with the basics, getting down here to just the core traits. That's going to be primary ability, intelligence, of course, same as before, D8 per Artificer level. Again, you're going to get saving throw proficiencies in con and intelligence. You're going to be able to choose from this list of skills. You're going to get proficiency with simple weapons. Tool proficiencies will be thieves tools, tinker's tools, and then one artisan's tool of your choice. And then for armor training, light and medium armor alongside shields, skipping starting equipment. Now let's talk about what they're really getting here in the weeds of it. So skip right down to the Artificer class features. So that's going to be where you get this normal table that'll break down the class features. You get the proficiency bonus, and then of course any of these extra things like spells, plants known, magic items are going to be the ones that are going to be different here compared to when you look at a normal spellcaster or something, right? Theirs would just show spell slots per spell level. We get these two extra sections here because they're very important to the identity of this class and are what allow it to be as good as it is. So we'll jump right down to these first ones. This section breaks down like your cantrips, spell slots, things like that. But here at the bottom, you will get an important detail, which is whenever you finish a long rest, you can change your list of prepared spells, replacing any of the spells there with one Artificer spell for which you have spell slots. So you are able to change these out per long rest. You're not locked in like some other casters. And of course, your intelligence is your spellcasting ability for Artificer spells. So the first level 1 thing is going to be Tinker's Magic. One, you're going to know the minion cantrip, and then as a magic action, you can create one of these items. Now, I know this is only going to really be good or bad depending on the type of game you're in. If you're in a game that you often find yourself needing more mundane items, especially at lower levels, or they actually play a role in your game where your DM doesn't just go, oh, yeah, you're an adventurer, you probably have one of those, but actually it's like, do you have that rope? Do you have those ball bearings? Things like that, then this can be awesome to help put together some crazy wonky plans. But if you're in a game where your DM is normally just like, yeah, you have that, yeah, of course you'd have that, you're an adventurer, then this is going to be just about worthless. So this is going to be heavily dependent on the type of game you're in. But it's a level 1 thing. It's not like you gotta wait to get this and therefore you're losing out on something else. You'll never be without a torch though, and that's cool. Moving on to level 2, you get Replicate Magic Item. This is where those plans known come into play. So you will know a certain number of plans. You'll get 4 plans when you hit this level for items, and then you can actually create those items. As you can see here, when you finish a long rest, you can create 1 or 2 different magic items. Those are of course from the 4 plans you know, so you can create 2 of them. When you create it, if that item requires attunement, you are instantly attuned to it. It's not a 1-hour thing like in a short rest. As you go up in levels, not only does the pool of items that you can create grow, you also are able to make more. So instead of being limited to 2, it may go to 3, 4, so on and so forth. And again, that pool gets wider, so you're not as limited in the items you can create. So let's jump straight down to that first group of items you can make, which is already really solid. Think about this, you're level 2. And you can already get a +1 shield, a +1 Wand of the War Mage, any +1 weapon. This is good. Now, again, it's going to depend on your game. If you're in a game where your dungeon master is like, yeah, you start with a bunch of magic items, or they are just everywhere in this world, then the Artificer gets very weak very quickly. But if you're in a game where it's a little harder to come by, then these can be insanely good. I know some of the games I play in, if I was able to get a +1 shield and a +1 weapon at level 2, I would be so good already. Like, those are things that nobody else in my group would have. And of course, you can give them to other people in this, right? You can grab the +1 shield out of your plans and hand it to your fighter and things like that. So again, if you're in a game where at lower levels, magic items are very hard to come by, this is going to be very good. And of course, as mentioned, once you get to level 6, you get to choose from all of these different items. At level 10, you get all of those different items. And then at 14, +2 armor, arrow catching shield, a flame tongue, ring of free action, ring of protection, lots of good stuff here. And rare wondrous item that isn't cursed. I guess it just says varies. Oh, and a really cool thing about this is the table actually says if it's attunement or not, so you can think about those things and not have to go and reference each individual item. You can see them right there in the list. Great job, Wizards, on that. It's crazy that we're only at level 2 at that point, because at level 3, you of course will get your subclass. I'm not going to cover all the subclasses in this video. That would just be too much. We'll keep moving on. Level 4, you get your ability score improvement. You can of course get a feat instead of that. At level 6, you then get another class feature. That's going to be Magic Item Tinker. And that just takes the Replicate Magic Items one and just expands it with 3 new features. Charged Magic Item. As a bonus action, you can touch a magic item within 5 feet of yourself that you created with the replicate magic item that uses charges. You can expend a level 1 slot and basically add another charge to that item. Drain magic item, the next one is the opposite. You can take charges from the item and then get spell slots back. So basically create charges with your spell slots or gain your spell slots back by taking away from the item. And then of course, transmute. This one will allow you as a magic item to touch one magic item that you created with the replicate magic item and transform it into a different magic item. It's not any, it has to be from the same plans that you've already chosen. And you can only do it once per long rest. Moving on to Flash of Genius. So this one I think is pretty solid. I saw in other videos people were saying this should have been a lower level thing, but I think it's good because by the time you get this, you're gonna either have probably a 4 or a 5 for intelligence modifier. Most likely 4 until your next level at 8, do an ability, and then all of a sudden now you have a +5. With that, 5 times a day, you would be able to give yourself or an ally a +5 to any saving throw they have as a reaction. Being able to do that 5 times for a +5 is pretty good. And of course, you get it back at the start of every long rest. Next up is a repeating feature here. At level 10, Magic Item Adept, you can now attune up to 4 magic items at once. This is again one of those core defining features of the Artificers. Hey, they are limited. They can only get up to level 5 spells, which are like, wow, they can't get 6, 7, 8, 9. That's where so many great spells are. Yes, but they can use more magic items than you can. So being able to use 4 at level 10, 5 at 14, and 6 magic items at 18 means you're getting a lot of different outside influence on building up your character and giving you cool things. At level 11, spell storing item. This is what it sounds like. You can take an Artificer spell, 1, 2, or 3, which I know sounds low. However, you only get up to 5. So more than half of your kit is able to be placed into these items. You put in the item, and as long as you have that item out, then you are able to cast spells from it. It uses the intelligence modifier just like your other spells. If it requires concentration, it still requires concentration. However, that spell will stay in that magic item until twice your intelligence modifier. So again, assuming it's 5 at this point, you can cast that spell 10 times out of that item before you have to do it again. Pick a level 3 spell or a level 2 spell, lock it in for 10 casts right there from your item. The limits here, it has to be an action cast. You can't put bonus actions in there and things like that. It has to do the full action cast. And it can't be a spell that requires the consumption of a material component. And you can pick a spell you don't have prepared, but again, you have to meet those 2 criteria. Moving on to level 14, you're going to get, like I said before, up to 5 magic items attuned at once, and then refreshed Genius. So at a short rest, you get 1 expended use of your Flash of Genius back. That's the one where you can add your intelligence modifier to a saving throw of you or an ally as a reaction. So you're gonna be able to always get 1 back after a short rest. This could probably be buffed, maybe half the amount or all of them back. All of them back is probably really strong, but just 1 for a short rest, it's iffy. But at the same time, that means if you used all 5 already, boom, you end up getting a 6th one back. 6 of those in a day is pretty good. Moving on to 18, that's when you get your 6 magic items you can attune to. 19, an epic boon. And then at level 20, you get the Soul of Artifice. Skipping past the cheat death real quick, we'll go straight to the magical guidance because it's basically what I was just talking about. So long as you are attuned to at least 1 magic item, then you can, when you do a short rest, get all of your Flash of Genius spots back. So again, if you had 5, boom, you short rest, you get all 5 back. You can constantly add this +5 bonus to saving throws. The cheat death is kind of a wild one. So you reduce to 0, but not killed outright. You can disintegrate any number of uncommon or rare magic items created by your replicate magic ability. And if you do so, your hit points instead change to a number equal to 20 times the number of magic items. So if you have 2 uncommons on, you just go boop, boop, you are now up to 40 hit points. Now, you lost those magic items, but it's a unique way to keep yourself in the battle by just getting rid of one of these magic items. It's not the craziest thing, but it's neat. And then here is your spell list. So your cantrips there. I'm not going to go over all of these. The spell list, when I looked over it before, seemed pretty solid. Plenty of utility, variety. You have healing spells, you have damage spells, all that sort of stuff. Let's scroll on down. Again, there's Cure Wounds, but you also have things like Grease, Identify, Sanctuary, Fairy Fire, a lot of good stuff in there. Level 2, you have Blur, you have Invisibility, Lesser Restoration. Again, there's a lot of utility along with some healing. It's a great mixture of things. Going down here to level 3, Blink and Haste, also quite good. Dispel Magic, always good to have one of those. Fly is in there. Level 4, you're going to have Freedom of Movement. Again, great utility spell, Stone Skin, Stone Shape. The list is solid. And your max level ones, your level 5 spells, Wall of Stone, Greater Restoration. You're going to want that probably. Creation, Circle of Power, Bigsby Hand, and Animate Object. And then, of course, here are all of your subclasses, which we're not going to get into. Overall, I think the Artificer looks pretty solid. It's very interesting. I do know that a big part of it really comes from what subclass you choose, and we're not covering that in this video, but its core mechanics, its core spell lists and things like that, I rate quite well. I'd say this is a class that you can look at and you can play without feeling like you're really picking a not meta or something like that. Like, this can be fun. It's unique in what it delivers, the abilities that it has, and that's why I think it's worth giving it a shot. But what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, more nerd culture news just like this. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave that comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, good luck in your adventures.